Today's episode is brought to you by Mangolicious, mango and passion fruit pale ale. But not really. Don't drink, kids. It's bad for you. Yeah.
So, welcome to everyone. This is the first episode of a stupid idea that we've had to talk about anime. Colin and I think, have been threatening it for a long time,
Long time indeed.
a very,
Very much so.
a very long time. So, maybe we should talk a little bit about our history with anime in general. I mean, you can start. You have quite a storied history with anime, I feel.
Um, sure. Sure. It's been 20 years, I suppose. I've been kind of watching it on and off. Have back in the day in the 90s. That's right. The 90s. That's pre-millennial, guys. Jesus. How old am I? Old enough. Old enough.
Old enough to remember the 90s.
Old enough to remember the 90s. Which is funny because this is what our anime is talking is was made in.
God. Yeah, we'll get there. I mean, if you haven't
Yeah.
already figured out by the lovely frame that we have, we're going to be talking about Golden Boy.
Yeah,
Um,
or the intro.
yeah, or the intro. That's true. The one where it said the title, and then
Yeah.
also I think the name of the first episode.
No, that's I think that's the name of the series. The Wandering
Oh, you know
Student.
what? So it is. You're right. The Wandering Student. So yeah, you've been watching anime for a long time.
I have, yeah, yeah, for a very long time. So back in the 90s, I suppose I came into it by watching Dominion Tank Police. As
Nice.
one of my brother's friends brought it around, with much to my mum's disgust because of the big sexual stripping S scene right at the start of the first OAV on that. Yeah, good old Puma
There's
and Una.
certainly a lot of that in
Yeah,
Dominion.
uh, yeah, just mainly that bit. Anyway, that was the cat androids, and then I kind of watched other stuff. I ended up watching Ghost in the Shell, and then Ranma one half. Like,
I never got
prop.
into Ranma one half.
It was kind of cool. The first three seasons were where it was at, and then 4, 5, 6, and 7 just slowly trailed away. Never actually watched the movies as such.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not know there were
There's like
movies.
there's like 6 movies. Because of course they
Six
are.
movies.
Or feature lengths, should I say?
That's a lot of movies.
Yeah, and then in my student days, that's pretty much when I started watching it. Second year of student days, which was what 2000. Kind of watched it on and off.
Behind you.
Yeah, watched it on and off, and then still watch it today. What was the last thing I watched? Oh, I watched that Blood of Zeus
Oh,
anime.
how did we describe this again? Was it an anime because it's a Netflix anime?
An anime? Yeah, I suppose that would be the best way to describe it because yeah, it's made by Greek people, I'm sure. Certainly looked like they had Greek directors in it by the names, the surnames, which
It's
is
quite
pretty cool.
interesting.
Also, it does demonstrate how much the fucking prick. Are we doing swearing?
Zeus.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
yeah. Fucking yeah, yeah.
okay. That's fine. Just making sure.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, we're making the decision now, and I'm gonna talk to you about this on air. I am not going to edit out all the swearing. This is there will be despite the fact we are talking about this live, the intention is to sort of release this as a podcast as well. And if you're
Yeah,
listening to that as a podcast now, it has been successful.
yeah, it has to a point. If you
Hmm.
listen to it, anyway, yeah,
To a point, yeah.
yeah. So that's the last one I watched. But I watched the Japan Sinks 2020 or where it was, or an
Hmm.
anime, I think, on Netflix. I haven't. I don't know. I watched all the cult classics, Dragon Ball eventually, like 30 years after it got released. I never watched on
That yeah. You know,
um,
wait. So wait, Dragon Ball was like wait, Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z?
Dragon Ball Z. I watched Dragon Balls on CNX when that was about.
Yeah.
It was
I
like,
feel like I watched Dragon Ball in the late 90s, so
yeah, that's right.
the edited version for Cartoon Network basically.
Yeah, still didn't stop them from airing 10 episodes of Spirit Bomb. That misses.
No, not the kind of like qualitative editing, but so much the sort of slightly less violence editing.
The four kids editing, they're
Yeah,
notorious.
yeah. To be fair, probably all that's left at that point is 10 episodes of Spirit Bomb charging, so makes
Well,
sense to me.
they still had Mr. Popo in it though, didn't they?
They do have Mr. Popo.
Yeah,
He
Popo.
is Mr. Popo is a problem.
He
He's a
is.
problematic character.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah.
it's questionable when it came out, and it's questionable now.
I feel like we might have the answer to that question at this point, to be fair. Uh, I think my route is kind of similar to yourself then. Like I started probably about 20 odd years ago and by watching one of the Fist of the North Star movies when I was far too young. I think was probably my introduction.
The only Fist in the North Star movie.
Yeah, okay, that one. The one where he pushes his fingers through the guy and
Yeah, and
kills him.
had the series. Oh, I forgot. I watched like the original Devilman. Well, that was kind of brutal.
Oh, I that was in the 90s too, right?
Yeah, I think that
Yeah,
was.
I feel like we may have had this discussion before, but I feel like that was either on like Channel 4 or Channel 3 at stupid o'clock at night.
Yep, that's when you get all the best anime. That's when.
Yep.
That's,
I
yeah,
used
that
to
was.
watch that and Police Academy the series on Channel 5 when that was the thing.
Was that live action?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
I believe there was
Jesus!
a Police Academy cartoon as well, but
Yeah, there was. I remember that.
yeah. But there was legit a live action series as well. I used to watch for some reason because, why not? It's 2 in the morning and you're watching Channel 5.
I,
Um,
if it's not porn,
it, it was one of the things that was not porn on Channel 5.
softcore
Um,
porn.
That was basically that channel's thing for such a long time. Like such a long time. And that was the TV channel that wasn't airing Eurotrash.
Hmm.
So, you know,
Good old Eurotrash.
man. I went on a sort of a wiki dive one day reading about Eurotrash. And like that ran till like 2006 or something like that.
Yeah, it's
It's
it's weird. It went
way
under.
longer than I thought.
Didn't it end up going under a different disguise as well?
Possibly. Being non-prepubescent child, by that point, I probably was less interested.
Ah,
Um, in a show that just idolized Lola Ferrari.
yeah,
That was
she's like,
pretty much their whole shtick.
yeah, I think she put me off breasts.
I think that's understandable since she had I believe when she died, her coffin was had to be custom made.
Yeah, I
Probably just a shipping container.
I remember them being
Uh,
the size of footballs or soccer balls if you're from the US.
yeah, if not larger potentially,
Hmm.
in the end. But
Ugh.
anyway, I digress.
Uh,
I watched those. Watched a bit of Devilman. I ended up watching Ghost in the Shell, Akira, and then when I went to uni, that's when it sort of got a bit more. As I think, as is the way it works, I ended up watching like Trigun, Helsing, um, uh, and various other bits and pieces. I think the last thing I'm trying to think what the last thing I watched was. Oh, my memory for this stuff sucks. It's been too long. Um, it has been far too long. I think probably the last thing I remember watching in earnest was probably Shinsekai Yori, which
Gary
was
Yuri,
the is it in the New World?
maybe. don't think I watched that
I
one.
remember specifically because I like paid for Crunchyroll to watch it.
Was that the tower thing that you were on about? Tower
Oh
of
no,
Gods.
actually, no, you're right. Tower of God, I did watch that.
Hmm.
I did watch that. That was last. Yeah, I did watch that. That was the last thing I watched
Yeah.
in earnest, and I made it through that in pretty quick actually. I made it through it so quickly that the dub hadn't caught up. I'd started watching the dub, and then it finished. And I was like, I'm just gonna have to go back to the start and watch it all in Japanese. So I did that, and I
Yeah.
never went back and finished it in the dub actually.
Uh, You can tell we're not true purists of the anime scene.
No,
Something.
I think some of the dubs are fairly good, and I've watched like all of the major ones that I've watched in both, um, like
Yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist and Hellsing and Trigun. I've all watched in Japanese and in English. They both have their merits.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched the film Alpha both. I watched it when it first came out, when it was the fan subs downloading the
Yeah.
good old torrents back in the day. um,
Oh, I watched Naruto until the first wave of filler crap.
all of it. I watched it maybe just I can't remember. I watched it to they finished the whole tuning exam where
Oh, I don't know if I got.
the third Hoge got killed by Orochimaru.
I watched it until like Naruto left the village with a frog ninja.
Yeah, that's just after that.
Yep, I watched it to that. So, yep, I was not interested in going back. So yes, uh, we've been talking about doing this for a while, mostly because I've been reliving my enjoyment of Dragon Ball Z with the Blu-rays of Dragon Ball Z Kai, um, and we've been discussing the idea of maybe talking about terrible anime,
Yeah,
because there's a lot of it.
there is.
There's a lot of really not good stuff.
So I'm not entirely sure why you chose Golden Boy.
Well, do you want me to tell you why? Like,
Uh-huh.
we can get into this right here and now. Is that remember when we were discussing this the other night, and I sent you that video of the dub of him swimming?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That I chose it because of that. That was it. I chose it because that was the best dub I'd ever seen in my life. It was just so bad. So yeah, I had to know what the rest of the show was about. I wish I hadn't asked that question, but you know, hindsight being 2020, here we are right now, and we're talking about Golden Boy.
Yeah.
So I think the format we're going to try and work with is we're going to watch
How do you like my swimming?
a couple of episodes a week and talk them over each week. The Golden Boy will be done in 3 weeks because there are not that many episodes, unsurprisingly.
Oh, it's anime from the 90s.
Was it 95, right?
95 to 96 apparently. There's no AV.
Yeah.
Wasn't...
So yeah, it is something. Do you want to? Should we start? We can start. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Could start with the
episode 1
episode.
or the theme tune.
The theme tune. We should start with the theme tune. As if you've started watching the start of the show, you'll notice the theme tune, and that's the theme tune for at least the English dub side. I have not checked on the Japanese side.
But coincidentally, we know the German one's different because we heard that earlier just before starting the show.
Yeah, maybe that was the Japanese one.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, so the start of the anime, the intro, if it didn't have like the filler before to tell you what's actually happening in it, you would think it was like some hardcore serious anime, with just looking at his eyes at the start, and he's got his like serious face on, and then he's getting ready to go out and ride a bike, and you would think, oh, this anime is about riding a bike. It's not about riding a bike.
It's Paperboy, the anime.
Yeah. Wow.
You can even see him on his little bike in the bottom of the image there as well.
Yeah. He was riding the bike. And then the music. Music is quality. I like the music. It's very suited for a chat show like this.
I You say it's a chat show. I would say it sounds like Japanese supermarket sweep.
Game show.
It's, but yeah, you're right. It's oh man, it is something. Uh, See if I can maybe just give that a blast. Hang on. Right, this might come in maybe too. I'm hoping it's not going to come in too loud. Okay,
Okay.
give this a try. Um, right here we go.
Well, that's good
Can
in
you
my
hear that?
ears. Yeah, yeah.
Wait for
Bit
it.
quiet.
Oh,
Bit more.
bit more, bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
More.
More. Smooth jazz.
It's like I can imagine a montage of people winning prizes to this.
Yeah, yeah.
It is bad. But I'm just gonna fade that out now.
Yeah. You got
So
it
that's what
fading.
you're dealing with. That's what you're
Well,
dealing with that
with the
that
intro.
theme tune. Yeah, it's with the intro. This show does not know what it wants to be.
Oh, no, it sure does.
That music is not
Oh well, yeah. No,
in keeping with the rest of this thing.
I think that kind of the whole point.
I guess. So we kind of the first episode is called Computer Studies, and
Yes.
it has our protagonist. Is it Kentaro Oe?
Kentaro
Or Oe
Ori.
Kentaro?
Yeah. Kentaro
Uh,
Ori.
okay, and then he's on his bike, and then a really bad driver appears behind him, like in a yellow Ferrari, I think it is, right?
Ferrari or Lamborghini.
Yeah, and just like I don't. I also am very unsure as to why he struggles with stopping, but they kind of skid past him and come to a halt in front of him, and then he seems to just like wave the wheel in front of him back and forward and not push the brakes, and then crashes into some bins.
That's because he was surprised because he was wearing his Walkman.
His headphones. Yeah, he does say that, doesn't he?
No, it's
Those are the dangers of wearing headphones
yeah. It was
while cycling.
it was it was the two girls that he passed on the way there. It was just that. Don't you think guys that are wearing Walkman, they just like singing out loud and they're all. Don't you think they're just big giant dorks?
I forgot because he's going, he like is singing what I can only assume is his own theme tune. Because he's going like ba 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 and then just like smash into
Yeah,
the bins.
yeah,
It is ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. And then of course the car comes to a grinding halt, and and of course we can't we see who gets out the car, but we see who gets out the car mainly from the midriff. And it is and this is setting the tone for the rest of the show, is a scantily clad blonde, um, who will then later, and by later I mean when the camera pans up, will be revealed to have just large breasts.
yeah.
That of course have the physics of a DOA game.
Yep,
Um,
bouncing all everywhere.
and of course, yeah, she's really worried that she might have hurt him. Of course, sort of maybe. I'm not even sure if she's really that concerned.
No, she just
Um,
wanted to pay him off.
that's right. She's more concerned that he might try and sue or something.
Yeah, but here's
So
10,000 yen or dollars.
it says $10,000. That seems like a lot of money. To just give someone for what was it? Your medical bills, your dry cleaning, and get a new bike.
Yeah,
It's
well, it's it depends on how badly injured he was, but he obviously was not injured because he stood up.
He did. He stood up immediately, saying it wasn't that bad. But then it's like, oh, I guess I made a mess.
I'll better clean that up.
Yep. Um, I do. I particularly enjoy the bit, of course, where she throws the money at him, and he's like, $10,000. Hey, lady, I can't take this. And of course, he like grabs her by the shoulder. She doesn't take too kindly to that, and like just like slaps him upside the head.
Yeah.
But the great bit, of course, is the static camera that just focuses her on her and the way her breasts move after she's hit him. That's how that works.
Yes, that's it.
She didn't like that. Um, and
She's
then she drives away.
erratically.
Then she drives away. As badly as she arrived on the scene for driving, she clearly cannot drive that car or any car potentially. Who knows?
Also, those streets are pretty narrow. That thing filled up the entire street.
It did. If that was a two-way street, there are problems.
Yeah,
Some serious issues going on there.
and she can
Of
turn
course,
literally right angles.
yeah, of course. I mean, to be fair, like I imagine if you put enough acceleration in those things, they'll just spin all day. So
Yeah, that's true.
of course she leaves, and he, rather than going to get his bike, go and get a new bike, he gets his bike fixed, which I initially thought was just him being cheap, but I think it's somewhat more of the idea he likes the bike he has.
Yeah, he's. I don't know. I don't think he's cheap. I just think he's he likes the bike he has, rather than go out and buy a new bike.
Fair enough. And of course, he gets it fixed at the old man's bike store, who won't take any money for it because it's not actually broken. It was just a little bent. Um,
Yeah,
and he's like, "Yeah, come back. I don't want any money. Just come back and remember that I'm here when your kids need bikes." And he's like, "Great." He goes to leave, and then all of a sudden, the Yakuza are there. One with a Russian accent, I think, in the dub, which is pretty good, or well, accent in quotations.
yeah, that's true.
Um, and it's clear that they want money from said old man. This
Yeah,
is actually probably the part where I think I genuinely laughed at this part. There was not I was mostly just uncomfortable with the whole thing, but of course he like goes into that sort of very serious anime drawing style and attitude of it's like, oh, what's that? The Yakuza are here, and
yeah.
he starts walking towards them, and they like turn around and look at him. And just as he's about to get to the old man in the Yakuza, he just turns off to the left and leaves. I I genuinely burst out laughing at that because I actually felt like the comedic timing was really well done, despite the show's many other flaws. That was genuinely quite funny.
Yeah, it was good. Good quality humor,
Yes, very much so.
and then of course he hasn't just run away down there. He just starts sitting in the corner
Stu-
taking notes as this old man's about to get beaten
Studying.
up.
Yeah, yeah. So he's like, this is his whole thing. I think is the whole thing of the series is that he and it explains this in detail at the end of the episode, where he was a law student who dropped out despite having completed all of his coursework to complete the degree,
Mhm.
and now takes small jobs all over the country to learn more.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we're telling you that now because this might make more sense knowing that now, than at the end of the episode. Because it's there are so many other reasons to ask what the fuck you just watched, and that doesn't need to be one of them.
oh, well,
Um,
sure it does.
yeah, I think so, of course he's studying this, and then it cuts to him going to his job, right? Like this is the whole thing is he's going to his new job, and he's being ushered into this place where he's met by the woman at the front, and it's a computer place
Yeah,
somewhere that does software employed entirely by women.
yep.
That
Well, there
seems
you
to
go.
meet the needs of the narrative.
The narrative of this episode, anyway.
Well, I think it's like the narrative of most episodes is that we'll get there, but he's not he's not a nice guy, Kentaro. He's a problematic figure.
He only has problematic tendencies.
Yes,
He has, he's
people have gone to prison with these kind of problematic tendencies. So
very much so, yes. But
we'll get on to that though.
yeah, that's spoiler territory. So yeah, so he's employed by this computer place, and who's the manager in the place?
It's Blondie make big boobs, I guess. I don't know if she has a name.
No, she got a name.
If she has, I mean, I
Uh,
will.
Mentioned
We'll just
twice.
refer to her as my queen.
My God.
So of course, he, you know, makes an arse of himself quite quickly, um, and then he's been hired at a computer firm. Actually, in fact, hang on, I've got here we go. He's been hired at a computer firm where he doesn't know what job he's going to be doing. He doesn't know anything about what he's supposed to be doing, and he ends up being a janitor. So they basically get him like a pair of rubber gloves and get him cleaning the toilet. Is the first thing they get him to do.
Because the boss didn't like him.
Yeah, the boss didn't like him, and then the worrying part is that he really likes cleaning that toilet.
Yes. Yes, that is
Really likes cleaning that toilet.
it's the throne of his
That
queen.
is the first moment. Yeah, that is the first moment where I kind of started feeling a level of uncomfort, like discomfort that I hadn't felt in a while watching something. It was unexpected to a degree because I didn't read any more into this other than watching that one video where the dub was really bad when he was trying to swim. Um, and yet here we are. He's super interested in where she sits to pee.
Yeah, super interested. And of course,
To the point where she bursts in.
yeah, and
Is
he's
he?
rubbing.
Is it
He,
now? And I may be conflating this with the second episode. He's either rubbing his face on the seat, which is bad enough, but I think he might be drinking from the bidet. Or is that a further perverted thing he does later on in another episode?
I can't mention that potentially that might be the second episode. Because yeah, the second
Fair
episode.
enough.
Because she ended up taking him to her room to dry her face, and it wasn't a bidet. It
That's
was
no.
the squirter function on the toilets as apparently Japanese
Well,
people have.
it's a bidet function in your toilet.
Yeah, yeah, the bidet function in your toilet. Anyway,
Yeah, but he was getting super close and personal with that toilet seat, and then she was really unhappy that he was doing that. You know, quite rightly,
yeah.
because what the fuck are you
Uh,
doing? Don't be a pervert. Don't be a creep. Uh, and hence we have this sort of, as we discussed, problematic character who is now doing really gross stuff in a software company employed entirely by women.
in toilet. Yeah,
It's real rough. It's real
yeah.
rough. I like felt so uncomfortable watching it.
I did
Um,
warn you.
you did, and I watched it twice because I went back to take notes, and I wish I hadn't. Um,
I've only watched it
it's
once.
you are once better off than I.
Or maybe I've
And
watched it
then
twice. I might have watched it way back in the day.
further to this, of course, is that he then kind of like he gets in like a shouting match with her about how he wants to prove himself.
Yes. That's not after she spits at him in disgust, and then he catches it in his mouth.
He does do that, and it's really awful, and I hate it. Again, like it's just because he does this sort of yeah, like really obvious. I'm gonna catch this spit in my mouth.
Like, let's
Noise
have it.
and motion.
Yeah,
He was thrilled about
yeah.
that. I have the, but of course he then wants to prove his worth by showing all of the developers at this software company uh, how good a job he can do with computers. And I have
Yeah.
this great sound effect here.
Since I didn't have a computer, I had to teach myself using a keyboard made of paper.
So kind of like I think this sort of buries the lead a little bit, but that sounds really dumb. It's like I didn't have a computer, so I guess I just used, you know, this piece of paper that I drew a keyboard on, and then like a box.
Yeah. Yep.
And then there's some programming jokes where it's like, isn't this a little basic? Ha 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 ha. No, this is in C.
No, no.
Ha 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 ha.
Was it C major or something? Or something like that. And then,
It's yeah, it's not in C general.
yeah.
But yeah, isn't
Well,
this a little basic?
which she mistook as what's C base? Oh, it's C base. That was what
C-
it was.
C base, that's what it is. Yeah, yeah.
And he was
Which
thinking, yeah, he was thinking
Yeah,
it
it's
was
like-
third or second base. What's C base? I must find out.
yeah, C base. Let's so well, first base is this and second base is this, and then he just starts chasing the women around the office.
Yeah,
And this just horrifying display of being a total pervert. It's terrible. Like, why? Why would he do that?
why would anyone do that?
Agreed. Like, why would anyone? And in fact, here we go.
Life is a mystery.
Yeah, there we go. Life is a mystery. Like, why would you do that? Why? And then, he somehow at this point still has a job, despite them being really pissed off at him for all of that. And then he ends up what is he? He ends up for some reason cleaning out the locker room, where he's like cleaning that out, and then ends up stuck in one of the lockers because all the women come in.
No, that's because he found a bra.
A bag falls on his head and a bra falls out, and he has a complete meltdown, and then for some reason puts the bra on.
That's right. And then they all start coming in, and he was like, "Oh shit!" Instead of like taking the bra off, I'll hide in this locker.
In fact, I have that very quote.
Oh, shit!
Yep.
It's so good. Like, I really, really want him to get his comeuppance, like, because he's such an awful human being. Like, at this point, I wished death upon him. I couldn't be bothered with him. He's just so terrible. And then he basically watches them all get changed, as you would, and then they leave. So like he waits there until night and then comes out and it's like, oh, it's nighttime. I know what's a good idea. I'll make sure that everything that needs turned off gets turned off. And like there's a light still on, so he switches off the light. There's a computer still on, so he switches the computer off. And then he looks down and he's like, oh, what's this computer? It's like a server rack that
Yeah.
obviously should not be turned off. He's like,
Yep.
there's no power button. I guess I'll just pull the power plug. Who does that? What normal human does that? He's
Yes.
supposed to be like an educated person to a
He's
degree.
He's not educated in computing, is he? And he's pretty much living a
No,
horrible life because the
he
scene that
is, yeah.
he's living on the streets with a sleeping bag and learning the computing on a bit of paper. You forgot to
Yes.
mention that he tried to show his mighty power by trying to show him his skills, and only to find out that C base,
C-base.
was actually a programming language, and not
Yep, that
basic.
they were using.
Yeah,
Not Visual Basic, the programming language.
or basic. I think he was talking about basic, the old like.
Oh yeah, I guess
Fortran.
like Visual Basic. I never learned Basic. I learned Visual Basic.
Mm, it's cool
Yeah, and at
for
this
me.
point, of course, what's her name? The really scantily clad boss comes back out and it's like, "What in the hell are you doing?" Um,
Oh no,
why? What? Who? It's like, why did you turn off all this shit?
who turned off my server?
Oh yeah, and he's like, I did,
Did
because he's imagining that she's gonna be like, oh, how energy efficient.
you are, yeah. And only for her to like beat him down to a pulp and then stomp on his head repeatedly.
Oh, it's so good. He so
Uh,
deserves it. She is this the part? This is the part where she like takes his notebook and like rips
Rips
it
it.
up in front of him. So like
Yeah,
this notebook, the one he was using earlier on to like take notes when that that old guy was getting hassled by the yakuza, because that's what he does. He's not only a voyeur of women, he's a voyeur of life.
yeah, yeah. He takes take notes and
He
then
yeah.
yeah,
So the reason, of course, that she's beating the ever loving crap out of him and rips up his notebook is because he they basically they have a delivery of a piece of software to a client, and they're gonna miss they're gonna miss the date for the first time ever. But she basically runs him out of the office and tells him never to come back.
yeah,
And then we get, what is it, like 2 weeks later, we head back to the off, or we see back in the office, and all of the employees are run down and tired from trying to basically redo months worth of work in like a few weeks. Um, and the boss has just about had it, thinking that she's going to have to admit defeat, when all of a sudden one of the people shouts out, "Hey, look at this!" And it turns out to be the software.
only better.
But not just but yeah, not just the software. Originally she's like, oh, it must be a backup disk. Maybe he took a backup. Was he just trying to trick me this whole time and like being some sort of elaborate troll by taking a backup of it and then powering everything down? And the answer is no. It turns out that he's not like a total idiot, and actually did everyone's work and learned how to program in the time he got fired to then.
Like a few days.
Yeah, like maybe a week, maybe.
Yeah, he did
Um,
a lot of observing all the girls working.
he
Well,
did. He was in multiple ways. One sometimes with them working, and others just looking at them. Because his
yeah,
notepad is full of like useful things, but also very lewd drawings of women most of the time.
yeah. That's why I think he
So
went, "Oh shit!" Wasn't that where you could take that from? Because as he threw the book at the lady, and he's like, "Oh shit! I just threw my like secret notebook at this lady."
it was that one page where it was like drawings of women and not anything useful.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
That is the greatest sound drop. I cannot believe I got that. Beautiful, beautiful.
Uh,
And of course, they're like super shocked, and I believe that she said it's something like, "Is like, oh, he just dropped this off." So
yeah.
the boss lady runs out. Everybody runs out of the office to try and find which way he went, and lo and behold, here's old man bicycle shop and his elderly wife walking up to the office asking if they know where he is, because they've got money for him that he paid off the yakuza. She thought he'd wasted all the money. No, he hadn't. He'd given them the money to pay off the yakuza.
Yeah.
So he's not a total arsehole. But he
No,
is. But he's not.
it's not. He's
I
got
hate that they make me so conflicted on this, because he's terrible.
the whole point of his character.
Oh my god, it's so rage inducing.
Yeah.
It made me so angry to even feel a modicum of like, oh, he is a nice person.
Uh,
But
yeah.
yeah,
That's episode one.
turns out, yeah, he helped a lot of people. And of course, the blonde boss drives away into the night trying to find him.
Touched. He was
But
the
of
real
course,
deal.
yeah, he was. Turns out this whole time it wasn't just bravado.
Since I didn't have a computer, I had to teach myself using a keyboard made of paper.
That was the decoy right there. Like, you just think he's a total moron, and it's like, no, he's just improvisational and actually very intelligent, which is again very annoying. But there you go. And that's the thing is of course at this point we start to get the format of the show where he's basically going to take a new job every episode, and that's it.
Yeah.
So we never hear I don't know. I haven't watched episodes 3 to 6 yet. We may never hear from the people in the first episode ever again.
Maybe not. I have
probably
watched
not.
3. I watched.
You've watched 3? Oh god.
Yeah.
Here was me like a sucker watching episodes 1 and 2 again.
Yeah, well, it's I don't know. I feel it's fitting for the kind of like the humor of anime back in that time,
Sure.
and the
It's
more mature market is kind of maybe meant to go towards with the mature like sentiment underneath.
yeah, I can get that. I guess I still don't like it, but yeah. I think I don't know if I would have liked it then. I still don't like it now. So yeah, he then moves on basically.
Yeah, I would say I prefer over some of the modern anime because modern anime is getting a bit bad for that.
It as fan servicey as it was, which it was.
Not the worst fan service ever seen.
No, most definitely not. I'll give it some points for at least genuinely making me laugh a couple of times.
Yeah,
Like in particular,
Oh shit!
like that actually made me burst out laughing. It's incredible. And like I say, the bit where he he looks as if he's going to stand up to the Yakuza and just fucks off down the alley to start taking notes on what's happening, really made me laugh. Because I thought they were going to like establish like how nice a guy was right out the gate, and instead they give you that sort of false narrative straight away that he's a terrible person, which he is a terrible person, but he's not that kind of terrible person. He's just a sex pest.
yeah, yeah. It's questionable.
Agreed. So what
It,
if you were to rate this episode out of 10 in terms of your enjoyment,
oh,
would you give it?
actually, I enjoy this anime. I don't know. I always kind of like I've been going kind of back into the older stuff these days. I seem to enjoy it in that sense. There's like the kind of hand drawn aspect, and it's not just computer graphic aid type stuff.
Yep.
And it was fairly humorous in the fact that he was such a terrible person, and he was truly awful in that. But it's just his the voice actor did it well. I think voice actor he knows it like not the greatest dub, but he certainly carried the humor through it. Where he was like, policy didn't seem that smart until the very like last 5 minutes of the film, where it's like, oh, he's done all this work in like a week.
That's a valid point. I think it's interesting because like although I don't think the actual script for the dub is particularly good at all, he definitely conveys the sense of the scene well, even though the script's trash.
Yeah, well, the whole premise of the episode's trash. It seems.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So what do you give it?
I like I say I was enjoying it, so I'm going to give it 7 turkeys out of 10.
7 turkeys.
Gobble gobble.
I I did not hate it as much as I probably should. Um, I think I'm probably gonna give it a 5 because it did make me laugh a few times. Um, and that intro music's pretty dope. So
Intro, yeah, the intro's pretty dope.
okay,
I think there's an actual
so
episode where he does end up cycling as fast as a motorcycle or something stupid because he sees attractive women on it.
I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, I'm
This
pretty sure.
this show is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm
And
sure
I
I've seen
think
that.
that I think that this episode, and we're about to talk about episode 2, which is called "Temptation of the Maiden." Um, I feel that they set a tone with the first episode, and then doubled down on that quite severely in this one.
Oh yeah, I
Do you
suppose.
I feel like there are a lot of things we should probably talk about in this one. So I
Mhm.
feel like the core conceit of this episode is that he is going to work as sort of a campaign worker for an ex Yakuza boss's run for governor.
Yeah, well, X.
Well, he's still an influential Yakuza member, it would seem, because
Very,
he
very much
continues to
so.
win.
Yes, and
Yes,
has Yakuza working for him.
he does. Yes.
Even the Yakuza joins in and makes things good for him.
Well, the whole premise is that it's like, and if he wins, we're gonna get to go to the whorehouse. It's like, yay!
That is true, yeah.
You'll
And
enjoy you'll enjoy that. He's like,
yeah,
yeah, I've never been to the red light district. Hooray! He
I
seems like kind of happy about that,
certainly did get
I
distracted.
suppose. Yes. But of course, the main purpose of this episode is that the Yakuza wannabe governor or returning governor might have a daughter that's of interest to young Kentaro. Kentaro, I say young Kentaro. He is 25 years old. Can we talk about how old this girl is?
I don't know how old she is. She still goes to school.
I'm going to suggest too young is the is the classification for that. And I don't know why it didn't click with me to the end of the episode where I was like, hang on a minute. This is when he's like, I'm Kentaro Oe and I'm 25 years old. And you're like, no, wait, that's bad. That's bad. Everything you've done here is just so bad. So bad. You
She could be in her
freaking weirdo.
senior years.
She could be, but wow, it's not good.
7 years
It's not good.
difference, potentially.
At minimum. It's like at minimum. I don't
Yeah.
think she's supposed to be 18. But we're of course introduced to her by her not having any underwear on, I think, or having very tight underwear on is the sort of whole thing because he's looking up at her onto a balcony.
That's right. And she's an angel graced his presence at that point, I believe is his line.
That is very true. He does refer to he referred to the other woman as my queen, and this is my angel. Um, and then he gets kind of obsessed with her, thinking that she's some sort of very innocent young girl who he can be a pervert to. Um, but that turns out not to be not to be the case.
No.
Uh, she's she's far more manipulative than that, and seems to want to play him on this whole thing.
Very much so.
So she ends up, is it like she basically, there's so much innuendo in this episode. Uh such frequent, there is more toilet humor, of course, as we discussed. He
Toilet
does
humor.
End up, well, I say
That lasts
toilet humor.
longer.
He is drinking of drinking of the cleaning fluid of the toilet when she finds him and offers him a towel to get cleaned up.
Yeah, and then that's where she's
That's where they kind of get to talking more.
yeah, and then she kind of trips in front of him,
She does.
and
Because,
he
you know, why not?
and he looked away. He was like, "I shouldn't be looking at this." Oh wait, there's a
He
mirror.
does. It's like, I shouldn't be looking at this, but I can if I look away still, so, you know, whatever.
Oh,
Um,
he complains about it. It's like, "Damn my
he
filthy
does.
eyes," or something like that.
Yes, damn them. Damn them indeed.
Yeah.
Um, he's just, yeah, he's just creepy overall. Um, and then the kind of whole thing of their game of cat and mouse, as it were, of her teasing him, lots of boner jokes, and references to the word coming meaning different things in various scenarios. Um, and then I think she sort of she tricks him into being her tutor for maths.
Yeah. She was like, "I can't understand these equations or something like that. Will you help me?"
The
And he's like,
fractions, they're fractions. She can't do fractions. That should be proof of her age right there.
"I can't do fractions. I'm not 16."
God. Thrown my theory right out the window.
I did. I did. Fractions are
But yeah,
my
they're
enemy.
not that difficult. You get your
Half.
denominator.
Uh-huh. And then a 2. That's the half. And you get 2 of those, you get a whole.
Well,
And then you get 1
yeah.
and 3,
The
you get
idea is that you just you make sure that they have if they have you make the denominator common and add them together, take away. That's it. That's all she was doing, and she couldn't do it.
pretty sure she said, "Aha, I can totally do this," type thing.
Oh, you're right. Actually, she was just fooling, wasn't she?
Yeah,
She's just messing with him.
she's just messing with him because
Uh,
she knows what her dad will do. It's like, "Hi, you won't touch me because you'll be scared of my dad," type thing.
that that is very true. And of course, there's the scene where she's like, maybe you could like come and teach me some stuff. While her nipples are falling out of her top for whatever reason that is, and of course, Kentaro has a total freak out uh, at the sight of this,
Hmm?
and agrees to come back. I think she doesn't think he'll last a second because she thinks he's going to freak out and leave because he knows what her dad's going to do, and then doesn't, and then ends up as like, I guess I could come back every night and tutor you in maths, and she's like, wait, every night? Yep. It's like, okay, I guess.
I thought it was the other way around.
And then,
I
oh,
thought it
was
was
it?
her. I'm sure it was her asking that. And he was like,
Oh,
"Wait,
maybe.
every night?" Oh, and he was like jumping
Oh,
for
maybe
joy
it is the other way around.
because he's
I
that
feel like
type
maybe
guy.
I feel like it maybe fucked up for her. I don't think she really wanted that.
Yeah,
Or maybe I'm conflating something else.
no, he was just teasing him completely and utterly for an entire episode until he
Yeah.
annoys her for some reason. I can't remember what it
Yes.
was.
Oh, it's no. She takes notice of the book. His notebook, of course, that he's
Yeah.
continually taking notes down in, and by notes I mean drawings of a young schoolgirl, which should be a problem. A crime. It is a crime. He's committing a crime.
Especially in this country.
Oh shit!
It is a crime.
Yeah.
And then she pretends to faint and like takes the notebook off from behind him,
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
and then realizes that actually he's been aware of how she's been behaving this whole time.
Yeah.
He's just been dealing with it.
Yeah. He thinks that she's got some daddy issues and shit like that, and
Yeah. And of
yeah,
course, the daddy issues. When he says that, that's what really sort of throws her off the deep end.
yeah, she got really mad. Was really
Real mad
on the
about that.
ridge.
And then, of course, it cuts to I think they're meeting again to do some tutoring, and she like walks up to him, holding a pair of scissors, cuts her clothes
Yep.
with the scissors, and then it's like, "Hey, can you hold these scissors?" And he's like,
Sure.
okay. But this again, and like this is another bit that made me genuinely laugh, because of course I know exactly what's about to happen here, but it's the setup for it is brilliant, because she just kind of like sits and looks and goes, ready to start screaming, and just like takes this really deep breath. It's so funny, and it shouldn't be. And of course, the boss, Yakuza boss man, and all of his Yakuzas come running
Yeah,
because the daughter's screaming.
yep, and it was the day he won the election too.
Of course, that's right. He won the election.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
and then Kentaro Kuda got to the whorehouse too.
yep. He also should mention that Kitaro's been sneaking into the house.
Yep.
I don't think the parents knew
No,
that he was going to
they
the house and tutoring the daughter in a
they
really
did
creepy
not.
way. Yes.
And I think like at that point, um, the message from Big Yakuza Man is, well, just beat the ever loving shit out of him.
Yeah.
That's
He
it.
what?
And they start kicking the crap out of him.
Yeah. One of the Yakuza guys in the campaign office did tell him to stay away from the daughter because the last guy it touched her had concrete shoes on in the river, and he may or not
That is true.
have been the person that threw him in the river. That is his
I may have
quote.
forgotten about that.
He quoted
I may or may not have been that person.
something along those lines. It was essentially he was just saying, "I heard that this what happened to this guy" type thing. Of course, it definitely wasn't me. It did it type thing. That was a
Oh, absolutely not.
it was
Absolutely not.
yeah. Anyway, so he got the shit beaten out of him because he stood
Of
up.
course.
Because she wanted
Well,
to grovel in front of his father. It's like he's going to grovel in front of my
that's
dad.
yep.
But he
That's
didn't.
right.
He just took the beating.
Oh wait, no, because they beat the shit out of him because he grabs her and kisses her, and instead of like groveling, says he's like, "Oh, I'm in love with your daughter," sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this seems like a bad plan. She's a child, and also, who the fuck are you? Why are you in my house? And yeah, they beat the ever loving snot out of him, and she eventually stops it because she realizes she was really wrong about him. And again, we get to this lesson phase of it. For some reason, him being a pervert's just fine because deep down he's a nice guy.
He was lied on somewhat on that one.
I don't know if we want to. We should be okay with like it's like I know he's a total sex pest, but he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's
I
really
mean,
inappropriate with children and women in general.
yeah, it's like the worst. Worst. But I'm saying he's not entirely to blame in that episode. The first episode, he's entirely
No,
to blame.
you're right. She is the problem in the second one, or is a significant portion of the blame should
Yeah.
be on her.
Um.
He was genuinely trying to be a nicer person and messed up.
Yeah.
Although to be fair, before she even started teasing him, he was like rubbing his face on the toilet and drinking from the water. So I just limited sympathy, limited.
Yeah. The toilet scenes are about why.
They're really difficult to get through. Like you know, I'm not gonna yuck someone else's yum, to each their own, but that's a tough watch for me. That's a real tough watch. Not into it. Not into it. Not even a little bit. Um. So yeah, and then
Mhm.
he's of course like she stops them kicking the crap out of him, but it's kind of too late. He's already like a mess. he's totally to the point where he can't talk. Really beaten up.
Yep.
and that's it. He then rides off into the sunset
Yeah.
on his
Or,
bike.
or is it?
Well, yeah, because then of course she's hanging about at the end, isn't she? Because she's still got his book.
Yeah, gets the boot back. And
Yep.
also, the boss man is driving by
Oh,
too
he's
in the car.
following.
Yeah,
Yeah, he is.
making sure he gets out of town
Yep.
because he got
And of
expelled.
course it's the whole thing of are you sure you want to just let him leave like this? And he's like, he didn't try to hide anything. You keep people like that around, and it's like, but yeah, but he was a pervert to your daughter for a long while too. So pick your battles, man. Like, God, Kentaro should have been he should have been in the river with a pair of cement shoes, potentially
Yeah.
a bag over his head.
No, that's too nice.
But of course, even worse than that is he gets his book back, and inside the book is her pants.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about
Because we can't just leave it on a semi nice note that she was like, when you come back into town, make sure you call me, because she wants him to take her virginity. Of course.
that. One over another woman. That's two women's one over.
And then yeah, she has written her phone number on these pants as well, and yeah, not great.
No,
Not great.
not a way to act.
It's no. I
Oh,
would, as
shit!
far as I'm concerned, that is like mostly how I reacted to that entire episode, to be honest. Um.
Yeah,
Okay, and that's episode 2,
yeah.
Temptation of the Maiden.
That's the 2 episodes.
And so, what do you score that one?
Oh, that that is a bit more questionable.
Agreed.
Even somehow, I don't know how. There's less begging from Kintaro in that sense. Uh,
Yeah.
very much more leaned on by the other girl. Um,
Yes.
I think it would probably go down to maybe 4 turkeys.
That's a good thing, because I think we're on a par here. We're retaining our parallel scores, because I would give that a 2. Uh, I have written in my notes, this episode is gross.
Fair enough. I did
That
not
was
write.
my that was my general note. Was this episode is gross. I do not like it, and like I say, I for some reason it took me to the end of it to go, oh, she's still in school. This is
First,
not okay.
first time or second time?
Oh, the first time, like
All right.
yeah, I watched the whole uncomfortable episode again, even more uncomfortable in the knowledge of what I just witnessed. So, yeah, there's that. Oh God, only 4 more episodes to go though.
Yeah. Yep. I'm
So there's
one
that.
ahead. Only got 3 from
You
you.
are. I'll need to catch up, and we can maybe do this again on Thursday next week.
Yeah. Yeah. We should probably be able to do it. So, one thing I remember, uh, back in the day when I perused 4chan, uh,
Yep.
one of the many Flash, remember Flash? That's dead now. Scenes.
It is, yeah.
It had like a copy of like the bit of, oh look, he's got a boner. Boing, 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 boing. That was like one of the things.
Forgot about that. That's legitimately a dumb bit where she says boing.
Yeah,
It's really bad. It's like sub-American Pie level bad.
yeah.
Oh, my score was correct for that episode, for my mind, for sure. So, yes, we will be back with another episode next week with 2 more episodes of Golden Boy, episodes 3 and 4, and then back again the week after that to discuss episodes 5 and 6. And at that point, I think we've already talked about what the next anime is
We're going
that we're
to
gonna do.
the cult classic, Chargeman Ken.
Yep, I think that will probably end up being the next. There's more episodes of that, but they're shorter, right? So
I think they're 5 minutes, and can you really call it an anime? Because as far as
I
I
mean, that-
understand, it doesn't animate very well. There's multiple frames missing in their animation.
correct. From what I've seen of Chargeman Ken, it is not well animated, shall we say? But
Yeah.
oh well. Cool. You wanna see us out?
Yeah. So, it's been Couch Fuel. It's been Who's That Anime? Golden Boy.
Golden Boy.
Golden Boy.
Oh shit!
No, just Golden Boy.
That is going to be commonly used outside of this episode. It's just too good. I actually have a Golden Boy button on my Stream Deck now. That takes me into my Golden Boy soundboard that I have created.
Nice. Good old.
Yeah,
See, it's brought you much joy.
it has in a way. Cool.
Yeah.
We will
Yeah.
see you next week.
Yep. Bye for
Bye,
now.
folks.
Huh? Hey, what's this? A black bra! Life is a mystery. I love the research.